welcome again to Women. We have Genevieve Frederick with us this evening, and she has a very special story about pets of the homeless. So we're going to talk with Genevieve in just a moment, but first we'd like to always thank our sponsors, Carpa Nevada LLC, importer of fine Portuguese olive oils, international teas, and balsamic vinegar, as well as Villa Basque, a deli and cafe, home of Pete's famous Basque chorizo. So let's join Genevieve. Genevieve, thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure. I appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, yes. Genevieve, this is such a special program in so many ways, but before we even touch upon what you do in your nonprofit organization, we'd like to know where you hail from. Where were you born?
I was actually born in Bellingham, Washington, but I was raised in Santa Barbara, California.
So you consider yourself a California girl?
I certainly do. And
you have the perfect description, okay, of blonde hair for it.
Yeah, and from Santa Barbara, we moved to San Jose, California, and that's where I met my husband in high school, and we're still married 45 years later.
Oh, that is special. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very special.
Thank you. We moved to Nevada about 15 years ago. We retired early and decided that Silicon Valley was getting a little bit too crowded, and we wanted to enjoy our retirement, and we actually love Northern Nevada.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yes, it is. It's got the four seasons. It's got everything that we love. So we're happy to be here.
And we hope it stays just that special for the years and years and years to come.
Yes.
So when you met your husband, you were high school sweethearts. You became high school sweethearts. Did you marry right after high school?
A couple of years after high school.
Okay.
We were engaged for maybe a year and a half. It seemed like a long time when you're young and in love. And,
oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, so we got married at 19. And
on the far end of the teenage role.
Yeah. And he got drafted and went to Vietnam. I stayed behind and worked and did what other lonely wives did, not much of anything. Anyway, he came home in one piece, and we're very thankful for that. And
very grateful.
We have 2 children, 2 girls that are now grown and married, and we have grandchildren. And one of our daughters moved to Nevada, and that's how we were introduced to Northern Nevada and Carson City.
So you have her to thank for that.
Yes,
and we thank her as well. Now, you have a very special organization that you run, and we want to make sure that we feature it wholly because it in its entirety, all right, because you have so much information. And you have brought along a picture that I just immediately fell in love with, and I want to share it with our television audience. This is going to come up on the screen, audience. What is the story behind this picture, Genevieve?
That picture was actually taken by a tourist when she was in Toronto, Canada. She's an amateur photographer and was just walking along the street, saw this gentleman and his dog, turned around on just an instinct that she had, turned around and just did the picture. And later, when she saw how beautiful and peaceful, she regretted not going back and giving him some money in that baseball cap that is in part of the picture. Anyway, so that's where that picture came from, and she let me use it because of the nonprofit. And it tells the story,
so
and it's
beautifully.
Very heart-wrenching.
It is. Genevieve, where did this love for animals come from?
Well, growing up, I probably had every kind of pet known to man because I was one of 4 children.
Okay.
And we had anything from rats to parakeets to dogs and cats, of course, and my sister had a horse at one time. So we've always been around animals. The reason we moved from
around tolerant parents.
Oh, yes, and they loved animals also,
Okay.
and obviously they loved kids too, thank goodness.
Yes.
But the reason that we moved from Santa Barbara to San Jose was because my dad purchased a dairy. And so all of a sudden we had calves and goats, and we had all these other animals. So animals have always been a part of my life.
Okay, so did that mean moving from, let's say, a suburban way of life to a farm?
Well, no, not really. We were still in suburbia,
Okay.
San Jose, and the dairy was on the outskirts, but
But it was a farm.
But it was
dairy
a working dairy, and yes, with all the...
And I remember very much as a child, my father owned I'm from Ohio originally, and he owned a dairy farm up in Michigan that we didn't live on,
Right.
but we had people that
Yes.
rented and worked. And so
Same
my
here.
sister and I spent almost 2 Sundays a month with their children in the barnyard. And I was so fascinated by this mother pig and her piglets that I crossed the fence because I wanted to get with my little Instamatic Kodak camera a film, just a picture, a still. And that mother got up and gave me a look that I threw the camera somewhere in the pasture. I jumped the fence. I left behind a shoe and a sock. That's all I know. I never returned again. So my love of pigs is kind of on the shelf right now. So, okay, this love for animals has been with you all of your life, really. Now, when you came to Nevada in retirement, how long did it take you to come up with this nonprofit organization, Pets of the Homeless?
Well, about the 2006, I was becoming pretty bored. We had probably gone on every back road of Nevada, visited parts of Nevada that some of our friends that were born here have never even seen. And we have a little Jeep that we go out and we do 4-wheel driving. We also are big campers, and we have camped all over Nevada. And so once you've seen it though, it's kind of, well, where should we go now? So we did a lot of world travel in that time span. And then we came back and, okay, now what do we do? And my husband's an avid fisherman, hunter, and so he is. And so this area is just perfect for him. Well, I could only go fishing and hunting a few times, and that wasn't my cup of tea. So I've always been very entrepreneurial. And so I had, in my earlier days, I had published a book that I'm proud to say is in the Library of Congress. And I decided that wouldn't it be fun to write a book or publish a book, and the subject would be about animals, pets, and in particular, maybe a dog, and written from a dog's perspective.
Interesting.
So I got together from the internet, which is a wonderful, wonderful avenue to find things. I found a writer, I found a cartoonist, and I roped in my own veterinarian, Gary Ailes, here in town, to help co-write it. So we wrote this book and whatever, and it took a while to do it.
What's the dog's name?
Hank.
Hank, okay.
And the name of the book is Happy Tales, and it's hilarious. Oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I should have brought the book with me. Yeah. Anyway, you can get it on Amazon, and you can also get it off of our nonprofit, and all the proceeds go to the nonprofit because we have an abundance of those books. Anyway.
You are entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Okay, because that is really taking big steps forward on a project that you're not quite sure how it's going to turn out.
Right.
Is everybody going to do their part and contribute in an animated and excited way and be a part of Hank's life? Now, what book wound up in the Library of Congress?
Well, the first one, this one did too, but the other one was, I was a young mother at home with 2 children, and my husband and I always felt that I should stay home with the children up until a certain age, like 12 years old, whatever.
I agree with that. I like that.
So I was a stay-at-home mom, but that wasn't enough for me. I needed something more. And I thought, what about all these other women out there that have to work? They have to go to work. Where do they get childcare? So I investigated a little bit, and I went down to the county office, and I said, I'd like to have a list of all of the licensed daycare providers in Santa Clara County. And they were like,
right.
Wow,
What's going on here?
So they said, okay, here's the list. So I took that list, and then I massaged it so that it was by zip code. So if you were a mom and you needed childcare, or all of a sudden your childcare provider wasn't available, you could go to this directory and look up the zip code and see who was in your area that was licensed, and then give that person a call and say, do you have any openings? And so this went along for 2 years.
Okay, what a great idea.
Oh, I thought it was too.
Yeah.
And I was selling it to IBM. I was selling it to all these large corporations, to their personnel department, so that they would have this as a resource for their employees. So one thing led to another, and a lot of the people that were in this book complained. And so the next year when I went back, I did it for 2 years, and on the third year when I went back to the county, I said, okay, I'm here again. Let's have that new list and I'll get this out. And they said, you know, because of you, in fact, there is a California bill that is named Frederick, and it now makes it is not public information anymore to have these licensed daycare providers listed in any form that is open to the public. And I thought that, so that ended that publishing business real quick. So,
but you learned from those experiences.
Oh, I did.
Yes,
And it was so much fun, and it was exciting, and I knew I was
good.
doing
You were onto
something.
You were onto something too.
Well, I was doing something that was needed in the community.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was the first book, and then this book came along, and this was just more fun, and it was just a blast putting the whole thing together. And then I would write press releases, and I would submit the book to different writers, and one thing led to another. Well, I submitted it for a contest, and it was called the Ben Franklin Awards, and it's in association with the book fair in New York City every year, and it's an association, and they give out prizes and all this stuff. So I submitted the book, and they contacted me and said, well, your book placed second place for most humorist in this year's in that category. I was so excited, and I said to my husband, I said, let's go to New York. Let's go to this ceremony and let's just do this whole thing. So we did. Well, it happened that Dr. Ailes was on the East Coast. He said, I'll meet you. Well, the young man that did all the cartoons lived in Florida, and he said, I'm going to come up too. And the other writer was from Upper New York State, and she came. We got to all meet for the first time. For the first time, face to face. We'd done all this on the email and on the telephone. And we put this whole, it was so much fun. So when I came, while we were in New York, I saw a similar man with a dog. Okay. And that got my mind spinning. I was like, oh my God, how can he provide for his dog when he can't even provide for himself?
And let's stop right there and come back and address those questions
in
the second half. Don't go away.
Are you looking for a healthier lifestyle? A more nutritious diet? Do you care about quality? If your answer is yes, or if you are just curious, come into Villa Basque Deli and Cafe right here in Carson City, Nevada. Discover fine Portuguese extra virgin olive oils, vintage balsamic vinegars, and a wide assortment of international health teas provided by distributor Carpa Nevada LLC. In addition to these terrific items, Villa Basque is also the home of Pete's famous Basque chorizo, handmade on the premises from Pete's secret family recipe. Satisfy your culinary curiosities. Don't delay.
Welcome back. We have Genevieve Frederick with us, and she represents Pets of the Homeless. Now you're going to see a quick video on the whole story put together in just a short period of time. You'll love it.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Frederick, founder and executive director of Pets of the Homeless.
Pets of the Homeless is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization that provides pet food and veterinary care to the homeless and less fortunate in local communities.
We're a national organization with over 200 collection sites across the United States, one in Australia and a few in Canada. our national organization since 2008, we've collected almost 50 tons of pet food that has been distributed through various organizations across the country, like food banks, homeless shelters, and soup dining rooms. With donations from the public, we are able to provide these kinds of wellness clinics across the country. Since 2008, our wellness clinics have provided over 2,500 animals with shots and medical care.
I'm Dr. Woody Allen. I'm a semi-retired veterinarian in Carson City, and I have worked with the Pets of the Homeless for about 4 or 5 years now. And when Genevieve Frederick started the program, our hospital was the first hospital to help her with collecting dog food and finding people that needed our help. On this website, you'll be able to find sources where you can get food on a regular basis if you need it.
With donations from the public, we're able to provide homeless shelters with crates, bowls, cleaning materials, so that homeless with pets can come into homeless shelters and get the services that they need to get out of homelessness.
If you are in need of food, supplies, or services for your pet, or would like to donate or volunteer, visit petsofthehomeless.org.
Welcome back to the second half of Women to Women. We're talking with Genevieve Frederick, who represents the nonprofit organization Pets of the Homeless, and you just saw a beautiful quick commercial on that, which has a concept in it that tugs at the heart. So Genevieve, welcome back to our second half.
Thank you.
And we just left you in New York City with a reunion of sorts of people that helped put that book of Hank together. And you had never seen them in person. You'd worked with them via email, telephone, but what a special treat that was. And out of that came the development in your entrepreneurial sense of Pets of the Homeless.
Correct.
So when you returned to Nevada, how did you get this off the ground?
Well, when I returned home, this vision of this young man with this dog, it just haunted me. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing some research. I wanted to know how many homeless people are out there. Mm-hmm. And the National Coalition on Homelessness estimates that there are 3.5 million Americans that are homeless. Mm-hmm. They could be veterans, they can be families, they can be men, women, they can be people that have lost their job, that have foreclosure, runaways. There are and then there's a whole segment of them that have mental illness.
Yes.
There are the ones that are addicted to either drugs or alcohol. So there are it's very diverse.
Yes.
We just can't think about homeless as being the bum that doesn't want to work, because a lot of these people have disabilities, they can't work. And I have met many of these people.
I'm sure you have.
But then I realized that also 60% of Americans have at least one pet in their household.
I would believe that.
So I did the numbers and I went, if 60% of Americans have pets, how many pets are on the streets with these homeless people? So I talked to the executive director at the National Coalition on Homelessness, and he said that he thought there was probably about 10% of homeless have a pet with them.
Pets.
Could
And
be
that's
a dog
a
or a
significant
cat.
number.
Yes. And but he wasn't real sure. So I called at the time Monty Fast at Fish. And we all know Fish as the organization where you can go and get, they've got a pet food, they've got a food pantry, they've got
a dining room.
A dining room, they do medical services,
Now they do legal
shelter.
services as well.
That's right. Anyway, so I talked to Monty and I said, what do you think, Monty, how many people that come through your organization
Just here
have
in Carson
pets?
City, yeah.
Yeah. And he said, we get a lot of transients. And he said, it's so sad when you go out to the car and there's a station wagon with 2 kids and a dog, and these people are homeless. And yeah, he said he thought the number was more like 15 to 20%. That's what he was seeing. So based on that, I went, what can I do to help these kinds of people? They need help, and these dogs, I mean, the people are getting help somewhere along the way. They know how to get the help. But what about their pets? So I had been working with Sierra Vet Hospital with Dr. Ailes and Dr. Woody Allen. And they had me do some brochures and some stuff for their hospital because they were impressed with the publicity that I got for the book. So I said, what do you guys think about if you were to collect pet food and take it over to fish for the homeless and the poor in our community? I said, that would show your hospital as being socially responsible.
Yes.
It would do something good for the community, and everybody wins. And they kind of thought about it, and they said, well, yeah. And I said, I'm thinking that this program should be called Feeding Pets of the Homeless. And they said, okay. So they became my first collection site.
Okay.
And I sent out a press release to the local newspaper at the Appeal. The next day it was on the front page. They sent a reporter out to the river, and they talked to people out that lived out on the river who have pets. And that was one of their big concerns, where we either feed our dog or we feed ourselves. And I'll tell you, most of them fed their dogs before they would feed themselves.
And what a great partnering by the Nevada Appeal to take the responsibility and the time to go out and do some research on their own.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
So the first day after that appeared in the newspaper, that 55-gallon garbage can was brimming. And they took it over to fish, and thus that's how that started. Well, as time went on, I was able to get more collection sites across the country. And in fact, we even have some in Canada and one in Australia, because they found out about the program and said, we want to be a part of this.
It's like magic.
Yeah, well, it wasn't quite magic. It took a long time. I wish it was abracadabra, but anyway.
The results are remarkable.
In 2006, I started it. By 2008, I had become a nonprofit, and I did all the nonprofit filing myself, and which was very educational, and this is the kind of stuff that I just love to do. So with that, then we developed a website. One thing led to another. I was doing this out of my home, and as the money started coming in, I said there's another component to not just only feeding these pets through our collection sites and the food banks that we work with now, but these pets need medical care.
Yes.
And you can't even begin to understand when a homeless person calls us in tears. My dog, something, it got hit by a car, or it's whatever is wrong with it.
Not breathing right.
All these emergency cases, and then we encourage veterinarians to go out to where the homeless congregate and do wellness clinics, and that is what you saw on the video during the commercial break. That was right here in Carson City. We do these all over the country. Veterinarians apply for a grant for some money, some seed money, then they go out to where these homeless congregate, at homeless shelters, on river banks.
Under bridges, right?
Under wherever they are, and word gets out, and then they come.
They have quite a grapevine.
And yes, they do. And they give them the parvo shots, all the vaccinations that keep that community healthy. You can't have dogs running around that have not been vaccinated.
Right.
They have parvo, they have rabies, they have all kinds of diseases. So it's a way to help the community and to help these dogs. These people want their dogs to be healthy. They want them to have a good life. And most times when you see a homeless pet, or a pet of a homeless person, that dog is very, very healthy. Because these people
I've noticed that.
Yeah. They'll give their food to those dogs before they'll eat.
The companionship, the compassion that a pet brings, I have seen it over and over as the pets come into the homes of the elderly, whether it's a private home or it's a nursing facility or it is a skilled care facility. The looks on those faces are not for the nurses or for the doctors or for the staff, it's for the pet. And they all benefit by touching, by petting, and that animal has been vetted, so to speak, for its personality and its ability to relate. And you see the absolute joy
Yes.
on both faces, that of the dog and that of the patient.
There is scientific research that has been conducted. Not only is our pets good for you physically because it lowers your blood pressure and keeps you exercising because you have to take the dog out or the cat you have to be moving, but also mentally. These pets offer these people comfort. They're non-judgmental. They love them.
They're a psychiatrist. You can tell all your problems to them, and they never answer back. They never
Right.
deny you time.
So true.
Yes. But it's such a socially responsible organization and networking that you have, Genevieve. It takes into consideration aspects of our lives, aspects of our living that we don't often pay much attention to.
Right.
We are caring for one another through pets. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to witness and be a part of. Now, my next question is, all right, this is extended throughout the United States and even into parts of Canada. So what kind of a staff, what kind of a networking does it take, Genevieve, to keep this going, functioning, alive and well?
In our office, we have 4 part-time employees. Across the country, we have, I'm using my cheat sheet here,
Sure.
over 300 volunteers that work with us by getting new collection sites. They take pet food from one location to another. They take it out to the streets. Here in Northern Nevada, we have listed 12 volunteers.
Okay.
And we have, I'm going to give you some other statistics. Across the country, we have 413 collection sites. Here in Northern Nevada, we have 21, and those sites are listed on our website.
Okay.
We work with 343 distributing organizations, and those are homeless shelters, food banks. Which has cropped up in the last few years are pet food pantries, so that people on low income, they can go to these special places and just get pet food for their pets. Since we started to August 2012, we've collected over 146 tons of pet food.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's huge.
Tons.
It's tons we're talking.
Yes.
And that's a lot of pet food. Now, not all of our collection sites actually report back to us how many pounds they took to their local food bank, but that's okay. I mean, they're busy people, and these collection sites are in dentist's office, veterinary hospitals, they're in beauty salons, they are in banks, they are in any kind of business. When we first started, we just kind of targeted pet-related businesses, like little pet boutiques and pet food stores and stuff like that.
It's gone way beyond that.
Oh yeah, because people that have a passion about pets and they know and they see these people walking the streets, how can I help? I can, and this is a way for people that have apprehension about going up to a homeless person and talking to them and offering them food and water or money. This gives them a way to feel like I am doing something about this issue.
And it's also a way for a person who has apprehension just mixing with other human beings.
Yes.
It offers them an opportunity to serve a community and to feel really good about their contributions to something that's very special, and that is a dog or a cat, a horse, whatever that, a duck, a chicken, whatever that animal may be. Well, I commend you tremendously.
Thank you.
For your energies, your focus, and your sharing with us, and it allows not only the listeners, but allows myself to say, yes, I think I'd like to be a part of that. I think I would like to contribute in whatever way you can use me. So you have to be a distinct organizer. You have to be a distinct thinker, and it takes someone like you, Genevieve, to put it all together and to make it work. So I congratulate you, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We hope that you'll join us next week with another very special lady. And until we meet again, take care, have a good week. See you soon.